Hi everyone, Shelby and I are going to be talking about the attribution of attitude study that accidentally found the fundamental attribution error.
Before the term fundamental attribution error was coined, there were two researchers named Edward Jones and Victor Harris that conducted an experiment that's now known as attribution of attitude study in 1967. There were approximately 250 students that were from Duke University that were all enrolled in the Intro to Psych courses, and it's important to note that they're predominantly male. In multiple trials of the experiment, participants watched speeches that were either for or against Fidel Castro. They were then asked to rate the speaker's level of support for Castro after reading them.
In one condition in the study, the participants were under the impression that the speakers were being honest about whether or not they supported Castro. As predicted, those participants rated that the people speaking who spoke favorably of Castro supported him, and that those who spoke that they did not support him felt that way. In another condition, participants were told that the positions of the speakers were assigned to them based on a coin toss. The hypothesis for the choice condition shown on the left was that if participants believed the speakers were being honest about supporting Castro, the participants were more likely to rate that the speaker liked Castro. The hypothesis for the no choice condition, where the participants knew that the speakers did not have a say in how they spoke about Castro, is on the right. The researchers predicted that participants would indicate no differences in their ratings of how much the speakers liked Castro, whether or not they spoke for or against him. For the choice condition, the participants' ratings match the hypothesis. However, contrary to their hypothesis on the no choice condition, results found that even when participants were explicitly told that the speaker's positions on Castro were chosen for them, they still believed that those who spoke in favor of Castro actually supported him.
10 years after the attribution of attitudes experiment was conducted by Jones and Harris, Lee Ross finally coined the term fundamental attribution error. At the time, Lee Ross was a Stanford professor who published his article in hopes of making mental health professionals and social psychs aware of their preconceived notions, prejudices, or biases. He did a lot of work with human biases, the source of biases, and strategies for overcoming it in his time. He stated that individuals are predisposed to attributing others' Oh my God. Ross stated that individuals are predisposed to attributing others' behaviors or actions to their character or personality traits, which in return ignores situational or personal factors. Here, I uploaded an image as an example of fundamental attribution error. So on the left, we have Ben, who is saying Anna is unreliable. She can't even attend a meeting on time. On the right, we have Anna, who is thinking Ben is incompetent. He can't finish his projects on time. Both of them are attributing their behavior to their personality and not looking at situational factors. There are causes for the fundamental attribution error, one of them being mental shortcuts. It's much easier for us to process someone else's behavior quickly rather than explain it with complex dispositional factors. This saves us from mental overload and stress. We naturally gather as much information about others as we can when we first meet them to assess threat. By collecting this information, we're able to differentiate who our friends are and aren't. It's a protective factor. There are also studies by Daniel Gilbert, who is a famous social psychologist, regarding the social inference process that shows that when people report declines in motivation, energy, or have declines in mental health, they commit the fundamental attribution error more frequently. Fundamental attribution error can lead to misunderstandings, miscommunications, oversimplifying people's capabilities and intentions, exacerbating preconceived biases. It promotes labeling, which is detrimental in our field, and promotes self-serving biases. As an example, I put, when others do something wrong, they're to blame. When I do something wrong, my situation is to blame, not me.
An important replication of this study was done in 1984. In this study, children across various ages in India and in the United States were asked to explain a person's behavior. In the United States, children committed the fundamental attribution error and attributed the person's behavior to their personality more often. It's also important to note that as children got older, they were more likely to commit the fundamental attribution error. However, the results of the study showed that children in India did the exact opposite. So as they got older, they were more likely to explain that situational factors were affecting the person. What this means is that the fundamental attribution error is not a cross-cultural phenomenon, and that children in America and in individualistic cultures are more prone to doing this, as well as adults. Other studies find that East Asian and Latinx communities were also more likely to attribute a person's behavior to their situation rather than their personality. Um, An important critique of this study is that it oversimplifies our thinking processes. We are capable of recognizing multiple factors that influence behavior all at once, and other studies find that we often do, rather than thinking of personality and situation as either or. We are often able to integrate both of them into our process of understanding a person's behavior. Another critique to note is that the vast majority of studies on the fundamental attribution error are conducted inside of controlled labs, and there's less evidence in real life to show that the fundamental attribution error is as severe as it is explained here.
Here we listed some examples in the field, the first one being blaming parents. All too often, parents are blamed for their child's behavior, especially at school. We commonly think if they don't answer or the behavior isn't being corrected quickly enough that they don't care or they're not involved in the child's life. It's important for us to take in these preconceived notions and know that we have these personal biases within fundamental attribution error to best serve the population. Our second example is our views on student behavior. We need to keep in mind that K through 12 is a very stressful experience for kids. They're going through so many physical, social, and emotional changes in such a short period of time. Just because they're displaying a certain behavior or they're acting a certain way in class does not mean that they are inherently bad or that they aren't going to get any better. Now, the third example is teachers and admin. I got this example from our school psych in Bellevue School District. She reports that one of the biggest issues she has as a school psychologist is dealing with teachers and admin when it comes to behavioral plans and assessments. It's a collaborative effort, so it also takes the teacher being involved in data intake and taking down notes and giving them to the school psychologist, as well as using the intervention strategies that are in place. When they don't use them, it's very easy to get upset by this, she reports, but it's important to take into account that teachers have a lot of responsibility and a lot of children in the classroom, and it's not always based on her personality. It could be a situational factor.
These are our references. Thank you for watching.